she gets that third spot, then it's kind of free reign again. Like you said, everything, finances, hiring, firings, and things like that. So we just feel it's important, to get it to the people, let them make that choice.
He says he's asked for an email consent vote, which Henyard says is illegal, and special board meetings focus just on finances.
It's not about the township. It's not about the people. It's not about the seniors. It's just about self-preservation.
And despite losing this week's caucus, Henyard says she will be on the ballot in April for township supervisor.
I am 100% confident that I will be, because they did a lot of illegal actions, which my lawyer is drawing up the lawsuit currently.
Voters just ready for their government to work again.
Once you get into a backbiting situation, it tends to be now us against them. Drop all the nonsense and let's get down to business.
You know what? Maybe she should have gotten bills paid instead of partying and giving away free food and everything else just to keep her clown posse helping her out here with all the corruption everywhere with all these kickbacks. I mean, how do you catch a lying fish? The same way you catch a lying politician, through their mouths. And I think Henyard has pretty much said everything that proves the people's case against her, because as she's been trying to stay on one ballot, she's actively trying to kick out other candidates from another one. The Democratic depravity truly knows no bounds, huh? Check this out.
Well, it's only Thursday, but Tiffany Henyard has had quite the week. Turmoil, yelling, and political maneuvering in both of her jobs. Tonight, some of her opponents are calling her a hypocrite. She's fighting to stay on one ballot while supporting her challengers getting thrown off another. CBS News Chicago's Jermont Terry is always investigating, and he's here now to break down exactly what's going on tonight.
Joe, there's a lot to unpack. Now, some are questioning if Henyard is crying foul for getting kicked off the township ballot, yet using the same, very similar method to get her running against those running against her for the ballot in Dalton off the ballot.
So we have to get this village back on track.
That's Cassandra Hobson-Jordan, who's running to unseat Tiffany Henyard as Dalton's mayor. Hobson-Jordan and Denasha Harrison formed an independent party, but they hit a snag when someone filed this objection.
I mean, nice try, but yeah.
The petitioner is DeMarcus Grigley. He's an Henyard ally.
When you see her, you see him.
That's Grigley, in all black, standing behind Henyard today as she addressed the outcome of this week's township, where she did not get the Democratic nomination.
He only nominated himself and his slate, which was wrong.
Yet that's the exact reason the petition wants the Dalton Electoral Board to get Hobson, Jordan, and Harrison, who's running for trustee, off the ballot because they did not file a complete slate.
Very hypocritical, being that we just dealt with the situation with the caucus.
What was filed against us is not about the people's voice being heard.
But who can forget on Tuesday, Henyard pleaded to the caucus chair to let her people speak.
Napoleon, how you saying now let the people be heard?
If you felt that that wasn't right and you felt that that was illegal, then how is it that it's okay
to do it
to the village?
She's really desperate. She sees that everything is falling apart, and at this point is let me do whatever I can to try to hold on with to any one of these positions.
I think it's about democracy and hypocrisy.
Now, for real, guys, this is such a joke. All I can say about this, guys, is that we're seeing the actions of a true narcissist. Then again, like one of them said in the video, we're talking about democracy and hypocrisy right here. And just to add, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot headed an investigation into Tiffany Henyard not too long ago. And the results may shock you. Here, watch.
Being in the dark.
Trustees hired Lori Lightfoot after months of chaotic meetings in which they accused Tiffany Henyard of recklessly spending tax dollars on herself and her cronies. The investigation found this small South suburb went from a surplus 2 years ago to a nearly $5.5 million deficit today. Lightfoot told a packed crowd that she's only been able to review some, but not all, credit card spending.
We want to highlight a couple of credit card purchases. You're having the same reaction that we did when we saw her.
Lightfoot questioned 3 Amazon purchases in a single day, totaling more than $43,000, an unexplained Wayfair purchase of $7,699, PayPal money transfers, and gift cards, all charged to the village.
I am in the White House.
Lightfoot also noted Henyard's well-documented taste for travel, paid for by both the village and the township. WGN Investigates uncovered $67,000 in unexplained travel in just 4 months by Henyard and her allies, some of it first class, and included a more than $9,000 stay at a Four Seasons. Henyard's former chief of staff in Dalton told us last January the mayor spent taxpayer money freely.
Over-the-top meals, lobster, crab legs. She liked the good stuff.
And when you were with her at these meals, was government business discussed?
No.
Y'all forget I am the leader. They want to hear from the mayor.
Henyard frequently shouts down her critics, claiming she's the leader.
I ran to lead, and you guys keep wanting to tell me what to do. We're not doing that.
But as we found last year, she quickly clams up when questions turn toward her spending.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
I mean, even when the very controversial former mayor Lori Lightfoot says that you're corrupt, you must really be corrupt. $43,000 in a single day, guys, and it was all paid for by the village. That's actually where their taxes went. Who wouldn't be raging mad about that, right? But really, guys, you really want to know what I think? I think it's good that they're bringing this up about Henyard this early, because this kind of behavior shows the kind of corrupt person that won't be satisfied with being mayor spending thousands. If they don't nip this in the bud, we could be seeing another Kamala Harris who squandered almost $2 billion of other people's money with nothing to show for it. Here's Jesse Waters with his take.
Kamala Harris smashed the Democratic Party to pieces with a $2 billion hammer. Now the kingmakers are tearing each other apart, trying to seize control and rebuild the party from the bottom up. But what's the Democratic Party without any money? Kamala burned through $100 million a week during her little campaign. Now Democrats are in debt. She didn't win a single swing state and was the first Democrat to lose the popular vote in 20 years. So what'd Kamala do with her billions? New reporting from The Times shows Kamala gave $2 million to influencers and spent $10 million on concerts. Kamala blew $900,000 to put her face on the Las Vegas Sphere. And originally it was reported she paid Oprah $1 million for an interview. It's actually $2.5 million. They built a venue for a rally in Pittsburgh, but then had to tear it down because the Secret Service told them it wasn't secure. If only they'd done that in Butler. More than $500,000 went to Al Sharpton and Roland Martin, both people who just so happened to give softball interviews to Kamala. I'm not sure it's connected at all. And she spent thousands on Uber Eats and ice cream. I guess Joe's holdovers liked ice cream just as much as the big guy. While Kamala was eating dessert and making her friends richer, her staffers were getting stiffed. Kamala stopped paying some of her top staffers over the weekend, and now the DNC's firing hundreds of employees. The staffers are furious. One told Axios, quote, "If they want to be the party of the working people, they should have more respect for their workers. There's an inauthenticity in how they talk about workers, and clearly voters feel the same thing." The heads are rolling and the Democrat grunts are revolting. To us, it's obvious why Kamala lost. But some people are still scratching their heads.
I don't know why the Democrats lost. I don't understand why prices have come down. The economy is good. I don't know why they voted against her. Against the party.
Others are still saying...
I mean, really? Shatner doesn't know why they voted against Kamala Harris? Is he a complete idiot? Maybe because she represents everything wrong with her party. I mean, just take a look at what Dalton Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard is doing. A true blue Democrat right here. I don't even think that it's registering with her that the people of Dalton and Thornton Township, they don't want her. So instead, she's arguing and criticizing the process that led to her replacement and vowed to continue fighting to keep her job. She held a rally of a whopping 25 supporters and and said that she's loved throughout Thornton Township. Now, I don't think she acknowledged the packed stadium cheering for her to be kicked off the ballot. She said that they're fighting for voters' rights, which was taken from them on December 3rd when the Township Caucus voted to remove her name from the ballot. Take note, voted, and still, she said that they're the ones fighting for voters' rights. I mean, we're talking about an elected position for her, one which pays at least $220,000 annually, if you catch my drift. And here's the real kicker. Apparently, Tiffany Henyard was claiming that her supporters were unfairly excluded from the caucus. She said hundreds of eligible workers, including seniors, local mayors, local aldermen, local state senators, and state representatives, were locked out of the venue and forced to stand in freezing temperatures, unable to access the voting process in a timely and fair manner. But she didn't mention the fact that, one, they were the ones who arrived too late. Two, she bussed those supporters using township resources. And three, her so-called supporters also coincidentally work for the township under her, or at least under part of her political organization. So what does this tell you guys? We're keeping a very close eye on this one, guys. So far, Henyard has not revealed whether her plans to run as a write-in candidate or challenge the caucus results in her court. But she has insisted that she'll be on one ballot come April for the township supervisor position, which she holds in addition to the mayoral position. Talk about diversifying your income streams, huh? But yeah, guys, the controversial mayor said she's 100% confident that she will be on the ballot because, according to her, her opponent did a lot of illegal actions, which her lawyer is drawing up the lawsuit currently. She said that her opponents are hurting the people, but many of her residents would say that she creates chaos, as her track record is pretty damningly low. In October, the well-dressed mayor was booed out of a town meeting by furious residents. Henyard arrived at the village board meeting an hour late and was met with outraged residents. From there, she announced that she was vetoing everything that the board had already voted on, saying that she just wanted to come there and lay down the law. You know what they were voting on? Addressing Dalton's deficit, which is estimated at $2.8 million this year, and approved steps to stop several high-profile vehicle leases. Other controversies surrounding Henyard include getting evicted from her home for owing $3,300 in rent payments. In August, the Illinois State Comptroller cut off funding to Dalton after Henyard failed to hand over finance reports for the use of about $135,000. She also threw an $85,000 party for her town in September, even though she had been cut off from spending by the state for sinking her town into debt. The event cost about $50,000 of taxpayer money to cover performances and more than $35,000 on activities, equipment, and staff. I mean, a politician spending other people's money on performances and shows. Now, where have we seen that before? Now, seriously, guys, this is like Kamala Harris 2.0 right here. Do you agree? Drop a quick yes in the comments down below. Hit the like button to show your support. And while you guys are at it, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and tapping that notification bell. That way you guys can catch our next updates like this one. Now, with that said, let's get back to the discussion. So yeah, we've been talking about Tiffany Henyard now, but I just can't stop myself from thinking about how much she's like Kamala Harris. Tiffany Henyard seems to want to ignore the people's vote and steamroll her way to the ballot. I mean, doesn't that sound exactly how they railroaded voters into accepting Kamala Harris, even though she didn't even compete in a Democratic primary? Seriously, that was mistake number one on a long list for the failed presidential candidate. But many say that it was all downhill from there. Even David Plouffe, a top aide of the Harris campaign, acknowledged that the Democratic Party's lack of a primary for the presidential candidate was what he called the cardinal sin. This was during a discussion about the campaign's loss to President-elect Trump. He said, if they had a primary in which a bunch of people ran and auditioned throughout the process, whoever emerged would have been a more fully formed person, would have had more time to mount a general election campaign. In the same interview, Plouffe also talked about where the Democratic presidential campaign was when President Biden withdrew from the race. He said the actual numbers under the hood were pretty gruesome. The Sun Belt was worse than the blue wall, but the blue wall was bad. And demographically, young voters across the board, Hispanic voters, black voters, Asian voters, they were in really terrible shape. And this is coming from a top Harris aide, you guys. He said that when the candidate switch happened from Biden to Harris, some of that stuff got a little bit better, but nowhere near where they ended up or where they needed to be. In fact, he called it a rescue mission and said that it was catastrophic in terms of where it was. I mean, just look at the complete 180 from former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The Democratic leader has said multiple times ahead of the election that the process was open to Democrats and that Harris won the primary. But now, after Harris's loss, Pelosi said that the president should have dropped out sooner so that Democrats could have held a primary. And Guess what, guys? Even up to now, weeks after having blown through about $2 billion of people's donations and losing by a landslide, Vice President Kamala Harris is still pumping Democratic donors for cash. She's in the corner humping them, guys. And yes, they're still using the same old tired playbook, saying that Trump is a threat to democracy and his supporters are all garbage. Here, let me read out this email for you guys. It said, with Trump nominating MAGA loyalists left and right, there's nothing more important than making sure that they can fight back and hold him accountable. That's why they need you to step up today. Yes, today. Hold on, guys. It gets worse, though. They're even adding lines like this. Our records show you that you haven't pitched in to support our Harris Fight Fund program yet. And how they know that the election didn't turn out as they'd hoped, but they're not backing down. I mean, can't they just give it a rest already? Even Democratic strategist John Reinich, he acknowledged that getting fundraising requests after any candidate has lost, when they admit that they are still millions of dollars in debt, blowing through over $1 billion, is especially galling. He said that when he got yet another request from the Harris campaign for me to pony up, quite frankly, he thought it was insulting. And for good reason, guys. I mean, we're talking $1 million to Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Productions, $900,000 to advertise on the outside screen of the Las Vegas Sphere, $500,000 to Al Sharpton's National Action Network, and millions of dollars on private jets and luxury hotels. In fact, more than $500 million went to just 4 well-connected Democratic media consulting shops. How about having Oprah Winfrey chip in big time and help pay off this Democratic debt at the DNC, huh? Add to the fact that none of Harris's funding emails mention any of the spending or the campaign committee's alleged financial woes. So yeah, what does it say to you guys? I mean, the things that we found out about Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, really, it's kind of like we're seeing the younger version of what's happening with the Kamala Harris campaign. You know what I mean, guys? But let me know your thoughts on this. Is Tiffany Henyard really Kamala Harris 2.0? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments down below, guys. Let's make this a discussion. I mean, we could definitely circle back to this in a future video too. You gotta let me know, guys. And of course, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have your notification bell on. That way you won't miss out when we drop our next updates. So I worked in the IT field for years, and luckily I happen to work for a company where we do business with a lot of different vendors. And one of these vendors used to take us out to lunch on a very regular basis. Let's just say like maybe once a month, once every 2 months. But when I say they would take us out to lunch, they would take us out to lunch. I'm talking about they would take us to some of these really fancy restaurants that I would only hear about or I drive past them. But they were very expensive places. And I'll be honest with you guys, I just wasn't in a position where I was willing to pay that kind of money for food. They're very expensive. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, so one day we go to lunch and right around, it was a late lunch. So right around, I don't know, like 1:30, 2 o'clock, we're leaving and we're waiting for the car to be pulled up because they have mandatory valet. So anyway, while we're waiting for our car to get pulled up, I'm staring at this beautiful black Ferrari 458, and I'm like, wow, this thing is crazy. I don't even get to see those kind of cars often. I don't know if it's just me being a car guy, but I just wonder sometimes, like, how do people afford these things? So after the valet pulls the car up, the owner starts walking towards it, and I just happen to say, hey man, that's a sharp car. So the owner turns around and says to me, thanks, I appreciate it. So then I say to him, since he seemed friendly, I was like, hey, is that your first Ferrari? So he turns around and he says, oh no, I have 6 more, but this is probably one of my favorite ones. I said 6 more? That response sparked a 2-minute conversation that I had with this guy. And let me tell you, what he shared with me in that brief 2-minute conversation completely changed my life. And it's life-changing conversations and lessons like this that I decided to share right inside of our Liberty Pursuit network. And to be honest with you, it really wasn't even so much the car that he was driving. It just made me think to myself, like, how does this guy just have the freedom to be able to live his life the way he did? Nice car, hanging out at a fancy restaurant in the middle of the afternoon. It really made me wonder, how do you do that? Anyway, when I was living paycheck to paycheck, I wish that I knew people like this that would kind of like let me know the inside scoop. So anyway, if you want to join like-minded people just like us, join us over in the Liberty Pursuit Network. I left a link for you guys in the description down below this video. Now, speaking of which, we got some other amazing videos for you guys to check out. I just uploaded our recent take on Elon Musk turning even liberal Senator Bernie Sanders MAGA. For real, guys. And we got the clip to prove it. So anyway, thanks so much for hitting the like button and subscribing. Check out this video coming up here next or our playlist down below, and we'll see you guys next time.